We open on a dude knocking on a door. Looks like he's searching for someone, right? But instead of a friendly hello, he's met with a barrage of harsh insults. And trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Our main guy is Hyung-do. On the surface, he seems like your average Joe, but he's actually a top-notch assassin. But fate has a funny way of working because he ends up falling head over heels for a girl. The kicker? She thinks he's just a regular office worker. And Hyung-do is doing everything he can to keep his real identity a secret. Hyung-do's daily grind is like any other 9 to 5-er. He goes to work, comes home, and follows the same old routine. But get this, the company he works for is hiding some seriously dark secrets. On the outside, it looks like a normal office building with employees going about their business. But deep inside, there's a hidden floor packed with intel, targets, and a tow-in of weapons and ammo. Every single person who works there has their own double life. You see them on the street, and they look totally ordinary. But in the elevator, you might be standing next to a stone-cold killer. So one day, Hyung-do gets a new assignment. Eliminate Hun, another assassin who also happens to be his colleague. Now, Hun is driving along, completely clueless about what's coming. He's even chatting with Hyung-do, talking about his dream of making enough money so his mom doesn't have to work so hard, sharing his plans for the future. After that conversation, Hun heads out to do his first ever mission. The target? Someone is involved in a heavily guarded case. Hun disguises himself as a delivery guy and shows up at the door. The cops at the entrance are immediately suspicious. They tell him to put his hands up, step back, and they quickly slam the door shut to protect the witness, reporting to their superiors that the delivery was successful. Out of nowhere, he's attacked and falls all the way down the staircase. As he's lying there, taking his last breaths, the unthinkable happens. The person who finishes him off is the one he trusted most, Hyung-do. Before he dies, Hun asks Hyung-do for one last favor, to take the money he saved up and give it to his mother. That's how we get back to the opening scene where Hyung-do is at Hun's mom's place with the money. After dealing with some thugs, Hun's mom, Mi-yeon, appears. Hyung-do introduces himself as Hun's co-worker. Mi-yeon is surprised and asks if Hun actually found a job. Hyung-do confirms and says that her son asked him to bring something over. He explains that it's money Hun saved from work, and that her son has been sent on an urgent business trip overseas. Mi-yeon, naturally curious, opens the bag to take a peek. And wouldn't you know it, it's full of cash. She's so touched, she invites Hyung-do inside for some tea. He hands her his business card, just to reassure her that he's legit and works for a real company. But little does Hyung-do know, that seemingly harmless business card is about to bring him a whole heap of trouble. Mi-yeon, bless her heart, starts asking all sorts of questions about Hun's job. Hyung-do, who isn't usually one for small talk, surprisingly becomes unusually chatty with Mi-yeon, even though it's mostly a bunch of white lies, and Mi-yeon doesn't suspect a thing. Just then, Mi-yeon's daughter barges in, complaining about how Hun is always busy, even on the anniversary of their dad's death. She then announces that she's going out to sing karaoke. Mi-yeon tries to stop her because they have a guest, but this rebellious young girl is having none of it, declaring that if Mi-yeon could have been a singer when she was young, then why can't she? She storms off to her room and cranks up the music. Mi-yeon's about to go give her daughter a piece of her mind, but when the music starts playing, Hyung-do suddenly freezes. This is the song, his absolute favorite from his childhood, the one that kept him going during his delivery days. That's when it hits him. Mi-yeon is his childhood idol, that singer he adored. Back home, Hyung-do pulls out his old cassette tape and listens to it, just like he used to do during those sleepless nights. And he starts to develop some, let's call them complicated feelings. The next day, Hyung-do is late for work because he fell asleep listening to his music. But his boss, John, doesn't really care. He sees Hyung-do as the most promising guy in the company, a real talent he values. So he decides to focus on training Hyung-do, brings him to the document room, and hands him his next mission: eliminate Chae-guk, who ran off before. Apparently, Chae-guk's wife and child were killed in a hit and run, and after making the taxi driver disappear, he vanished himself. Hyung-do opens the file and sees Chae-guk's picture. He remembers working with him before, how Chae-guk proudly talked about his son, a chess prodigy. The scene shifts to Chae-guk, looking lost and staring at a kid, almost as if he sees his own son in him. A staff member sees that Chae-guk isn't playing and tries to kick him out, but Chae-guk ends up beating him up. Afterward, Chae-guk leaves the arcade, but as soon as he does, Hyung-do secretly follows him. Hyung-do chases after Chae-guk, but at a turn in a back alley, Chae-guk suddenly pulls out a gun and points it right at Hyung-do. With his killer instincts, there's no way he wouldn't notice Hyung-do tailing him. Hyung-do demands that Chae-guk call the company, because they want him back. But Chae-guk retorts, asking if, after selling his soul to the company for so many years, only to have his family destroyed, they still want him back? Selling his soul to them again is out of the question. He also asks Hyung-do to deliver a message to the company. I want to resign. When Hyung-do comes to, he's back at company HQ. Kim, who's in charge, starts grilling him about what happened. Since Hyung-do has never failed before, this is a first, so Kim wants an explanation for why he let Chae-guk get away. But Hyung-do has never been one for talking, or maybe he just doesn't want to explain and all he says is, I'm sorry. Kim has been fed up with Hyung-do's nonchalant attitude for a long time. When Hyung-do gets back to his office, he gets a sudden call. He arrives at the designated spot, and it turns out to be a massage parlor. Inside, he finds Hun, the guy he was supposed to take out. Turns out Hyung-do didn't kill Hun back then because he was impressed with him and wanted to recommend him for the rookie division. But Kim refused and ordered him to eliminate Hun. Hun's totally confused about why Hyung-do would do this to him, why the company wants him dead. Hyung-do can only explain that he's just a part-time employee. Meanwhile, back at the company, they quickly organize another hit. The speed of this criminal enterprise is unbelievable. Each person has their own role to play. First, someone surveys the target's route, then another cuts off surveillance. When the target gets out of the car, Hyung-do and another colleague apply pressure, forcing them to quickly leave the scene. When they reach the elevator, the doors open, and a female assassin appears right in front of them. After it's done, the cleaning crew removes the body. The whole process is like an assembly line, making it impossible to detect anything out of the ordinary. For them, carrying out a murder is as simple as eating or drinking. Because Hyung-do brought Hun home, he gets to eat a warm meal with Mi-yeon's family. But now, Hyung-do seems awkward and shy, like a fresh-faced kid. Mi-yeon and everyone else aren't surprised by Hun's injuries, because according to Hyung-do, he's just on a business trip abroad and got some work-related injuries. Afterward, everyone eats dinner together, and the two exchange subtle glances. It's clear that they're secretly developing feelings for each other. This is also the first time in years that Hyung-do has felt like he has a family. But just when Hyung-do is lost in the moment, a phone call drags him back to reality. The company has located Chae-guk again, and they want Hyung-do to carry out the hit immediately. Hyung-do is seriously torn at this point. Chae-guk is watching TV, completely oblivious to the fact that the door has been opened. When Hyung-do enters, there's no small talk, just a sense of impending violence. Chae-guk, obviously weaker and older, is no match for Hyung-do. Hyung-do presses the gun against Chae-guk's head, demanding to know why he spent his time on the run instead of just leaving. Chae-guk says that his entire life has been like walking on thin ice, his hands tainted with darkness and light. He doesn't know how many lives he's taken and how much blood he spilled. He doesn't want to live anymore and tells Hyung-do to just get it over with. Seeing this, Hyung-do pulls the trigger. After wrapping things up, he's congratulated by the company. They all go out for some team building, and at the party, they give Hyung-do Chae-guk's old position. The promotion makes Hyung-do want to share his joy for the first time, and that person is Mi-yeon. So he texts her asking if she's free on the weekend. Their first date begins. Their first stop is a coffee shop. Turns out, the owner invited Mi-yeon because she wants to sell the place. She just doesn't have the heart to manage it anymore. Mi-yeon desperately wants the cafe, but she knows she's broke right now and can't afford it, so she politely declines. But Mi-yeon doesn't know that Hyung-do is outside listening to their conversation. He hears the owner casually mention that Mi-yeon must be doing well now that she's found a good man, and asks Hyung-do what he does for a living, because he looks well off. Hyung-do replies that he's just an office worker. Afterward, they sit down to have coffee. Hyung-do tells Mi-yeon that she was his idol and asks why she stopped singing. This makes Mi-yeon blush. They spend a peaceful, happy time together in this romantic atmosphere. But they don't realize that beneath the peace, there's an undercurrent of trouble brewing because of Hun's assassination. Many police officers and important witnesses died at the scene, so the police are quickly launching an investigation. The first thing they find is Hun's image in the elevator. Since they can't find him, the police are just groping in the dark. They start asking around if anyone has seen the person in the picture. Someone replies that they think they've seen him and asks if he's a singer because they think they saw him on TV. Searching like this is like looking for a needle in a haystack. How could it be so easy? Clearly, the two police officers in front of them are just asking around as a formality. Just as they turn away, Hyung-do starts driving Mi-yeon home. Seeing this, Officer Chong recognizes Hyung-do's face. He suddenly remembers seeing Hyung-do's figure around the scene of the crime that day. So he immediately approaches them and says, "Excuse me, I'm a police officer." He starts asking all sorts of questions. Obviously, this irritates Hyung-do, but with Mi-yeon watching, he can only calmly hand his ID over to Chief Choi. But even after examining the ID, Chief Choi doesn't give up. He asks Hyung-do what he does for a living. Just as Hyung-do is about to say that he's just a regular office worker, Mi-yeon hands the police his business card. It shows Hyung-do's company. Seeing that, he doesn't say anything further. Out of the frying pan into the fire. Chae-guk was actually spared by Hyung-do, so he could leave Korea, but he wanted to visit his wife and children's memorial site before he left. Unluckily, the company's people spotted him on camera. So, Hyung-do is summoned to John's place, which is the hidden floor within the company. When he arrives, Chae-guk, who's been captured, is sitting in the middle of the room. John asks Hyung-do what's going on, saying that since this is work, he should just finish it. Then, Kim hands Hyung-do a ballpoint pen. Seeing this, Hyung-do knows that Chae-guk is definitely going to die. Knowing that he's about to die, Chae-guk reveals the true nature of the company. He says, "What's inside your heads? Do you really think you're company employees? Working hard all day and then going home to sleep? Thinking you're working half a day in the sunlight, dressing neatly and going to work, but instead you're running off to do this dirty work? Is it fun? Are you happy?" Hearing this, Hyung-do is clearly silent. Chae-guk also says something to Hyung-do, implying that he should understand. It's clear that Chae-guk is reminding Hyung-do not to get too deeply involved. Hearing this, Hyung-do says nothing, but takes the pen in his hand, takes it apart, and it turns out to be a wire. He goes straight up and strangles Chae-guk to death. Clearly, Hyung-do has now made the company's leadership extremely displeased. One wave of trouble subsides, another rises. Officer Chong and his partner follow Hyung-do's business card to the company, but when they enter, they feel that it's just a normal company, nothing strange. But Hyung-do's situation isn't good at all, because Kim has found Hyung-do, asking why he gave the police his business card, demanding an explanation. But Hyung-do only says 3 words, "I'm sorry." So, Kim, already completely disgusted with Hyung-do, can't contain his rage any longer when he hears those 3 words. The anger boils over, and he beats Hyung-do. Hyung-do remains stoic and doesn't fight back. He thinks the incident is over, and he continues to take Miyeon out on dates. But little does he know, Kim has already started making trouble. He's found more evidence. They discovered that Hyung-do didn't kill Hun, and there are also pictures of Hyung-do dating Miyeon. Seeing this, John says nothing more. At this point, he knows that Hyung-do can no longer be allowed to exist. An assassin with feelings will no longer be his sharpest blade. The next day, Hyung-do is at work when he's taken by 2 colleagues to a mission site. But on the way, Hyung-do notices that they're not taking the usual route. The woman says there's a traffic jam on the usual road, but he insists that she go towards the traffic. Hearing this, the woman can only obey Hyung-do's orders. Although it's silent in the car right now, everyone knows that this silence is definitely the calm before the storm. When they reach the next intersection, Hyung-do decides to be straightforward. The tense atmosphere in the car suddenly freezes solid. Hyung-do says, "Do you really think you can handle me with just you 2? Get out of the way now." This situation is clearly something Hyung-do didn't anticipate, but now that things have come to this, he knows that he and Miyeon's family are no longer safe. So, he calls Hun, telling him to quickly get Miyeon and her daughter out of there, and that he'll come back to pick them up. Miyeon is at work when she gets a call from her son. She sees Hun frantically taking them away, and then gets into Hyung-do's car. Miyeon frantically asks what happened, but neither of them knows how to explain it. They simply can't admit their assassin identities. Hyung-do can only drive to the home of a retired senior colleague named Ban. Ban is someone Hyung-do deeply respects, and is one of the few people who retired from the company through proper channels. After bringing Miyeon's family into the room, Ban goes outside to question Hyung-do about why he's causing trouble. The current situation is all a result of his not doing his job cleanly. Hyung-do also reveals his plan, which is that he'll leave this place and move to Seoul. As they're talking, Miyeon finds him. She realizes that Hun's injuries definitely weren't work-related, and demands that Hyung-do tell her the truth. At this point, Hyung-do knows that he can't hide it anymore, so he tells Miyeon the truth. The company he works for on the surface looks like a normal metal company, but in reality, it's a company that specializes in training assassins who hide in the shadows. He's the company's top assassin, and Hun was just a part-time employee. And the rest, as they say, is history. Knowing the whole story, Miyeon is completely shaken and returns home. Clearly, this information is too much for her, a normal person, to handle. Hyung-do sets out on his journey back to his place because all his money is hidden in a pipe beneath his home. But he knows that the company will definitely be thoroughly checking his house, with scouts everywhere. And that's exactly what's happening. Whether it's in the car or upstairs, John's men are everywhere. But Hyung-do, as a top assassin, definitely has excellent counter-surveillance skills. How could these small fries detect him? So, with a few evasive maneuvers and misdirection, he avoids their gazes. He reaches the underground warehouse and grabs the money he saved up. But just when he thinks he's one step closer to victory, bad news falls from the sky. As soon as he returns to Ban's house, he discovers that Ban seems to have betrayed him, and he's become a fish about to be filleted. Clearly, Hyung-do doesn't know why Ban would do this. Ban's answer shows him just how treacherous human hearts can be. He says, if you don't step on me, I have to step on you to get promoted. Meaning that even though Hyung-do doesn't want to do this anymore, Ban, who's been retired for a long time, wants to return to the company. And to return to the company, he definitely needs a reputation, so Hyung-do and his group will be his best bet. He's applied to return to work for the company, and they've already approved it. Seeing this, Hyung-do knows that there's nothing he can do, and asks Ban if he can release Miyun and everyone, and he'll give him all the money. But clearly, that's not what Ban wants. He hits Hyung-do with the butt of his gun so hard that Hyung-do suddenly kneels on the ground. The three people next to him are so scared they're trembling. They've clearly never seen such a huge scene in their lives. Ban knocks Hyung-do down and then goes towards Miyun and everyone with his gun. This action by Ban completely disarms Hyung-do. It's not that he can't resist, but that he respects this senior colleague and has given him enough chances. Since the other party is still stubborn, Hyung-do will use the power of thunder to retaliate. Clearly, Ban is no match for Hyung-do at this point. But before Hyung-do can react, Miyun is shot in the chaos. Hyung-do is terrified and quickly checks her condition. But clearly it's too late. Miyun's death suddenly leaves Hyung-do numb. The killer's once silent heart completely erupts at this moment. So, fueled by a potent mix of anger and resentment, Hyung-do decides to storm the company and exact a thorough revenge. The next day, he quickly gets himself ready, dons a bulletproof vest, and single-handedly marches towards the company headquarters. Meanwhile, all the employees in the company receive a document. They open it up, and inside is a weapon prepared specifically for each of them. Clearly, everyone in the company is on high alert, and they know what this gun means. Hyung-do, like any normal day, arrives at 9 a.m. and leaves at 5 p.m., takes the elevator one step at a time to the company's front desk, and asks where John is. Seeing this, the woman doesn't dare say much. But Hyung-do isn't stupid, and since the woman wants to die, Hyung-do doesn't need to spare her life. After dealing with her, he goes to the office to start looking for John. All the colleagues are watching Hyung-do intently, but everyone knows that an unprecedented storm is about to erupt. In this silence, the colleagues are disoriented under the cover of the fire extinguisher. But just when they're about to go check, Hyung-do suddenly picks up a gun from the ground and unleashes a barrage of bullets on everyone. After taking care of everyone, Hyung-do goes to the lower, hidden floor. But downstairs, a security guard suddenly tries to stab Hyung-do, and the two break out into a fight. But even though the man is holding a knife, Hyung-do's title of top assassin didn't come out of thin air. So the man dies from his own leap. Hyung-do successfully meets John. At this moment, he sees that Hyung-do is out of control. Hyung-do suddenly rushes up, takes out a security guard next to John, and approaches John. But at this point, John still wants to play the emotion card, saying Hyung-do is the person he had the most expectations for. As he's speaking, he pulls out a gun and tries to kill Hyung-do. But Hun, who secretly followed him, shoots him dead with one shot. After John dies, the two go to the office. But just as they're discussing how to avoid the police and leave, Kim secretly approaches them from behind. He curses and asks why Hyung-do did this. But how could Hyung-do be easily defeated? He first acts weak and gets in front of Kim, then quickly takes out the pen that Kim always carries, disassembles it, locks his neck, and prepares to take him out. But he feels that strangling him to death is too cheap for Kim, so he directly pushes him off the building, killing him in the midst of the crowd. Hyung-do plans to take all the blame himself so Hun can leave, while he goes to the first-floor lobby, standing in the frightened gazes of everyone, covered in blood. This is the choice Hyung-do really makes for himself, which is to accept the punishment of the law. That's the end of today's movie. What do you guys think about this movie? Leave a comment and let's discuss it. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.